Hey, everybody, it's your friend James Shaw. Thank you so much for coming to hang out with us. We're doing what we like to do every week is talk to agents who are operating at an elite level. And look, we got elite of the elite of the elite today. I've been wanting to have this conversation for about 2 years, and we finally made it happen. Will you
I'm so,
introduce yourself and tell everyone who you are and where you are and a little bit about you?
yeah, thank you so much. I'm so glad to be here. My name is Taley Hunt. I am, of course, a real estate agent out in Columbia, South Carolina. I am a team leader, a mega agent, and just so happy to be here. This is my fourth year in the industry, and it's totally different market, and we're still making it work. So just happy to be here and share.
When we talk about making it work, I met you, I think, at a family reunion. I heard you on something, and I'm like, oh, she's smart. And we need to get to know her. And so we've been trying to get you on here. I'm glad it's finally worked out. You don't just dabble in Columbia. You sell a ton of houses in Columbia. Last year you did 145 units. Your GCI was 1.3 million almost.
Mhm.
This year you're doing great too. Tell us about what you think you'll hit this year.
Yeah, so we will probably sell. We've passed where we were last year. So this year I have added on one agent and just hired two more this week. And I've taken a step back in terms of personal production and I'm really trying to get into leadership mode. So personally, I've still sold over 100 houses this year. Our team will probably land somewhere about 160 and probably somewhere about 1.5 million GCI.
It's amazing. It's amazing. And you know what, we were talking about this earlier. I always love the people who say you're not doing that. Like people will try to call you out on your social because you're very active. We're here to talk about what you do on social, and you're very active, and you will tell people what you're doing and what's working. And people will say you're not doing that,
Hmm.
and then you go back it up with the numbers. Like you'll pull the reports and show them.
Yeah.
Why do you think people have to put others on blast when they're succeeding?
I think that there are a lot of real estate agents who are not around greatness enough, who don't put themselves in the right rooms. And so they're short sighted and they're very limited in worldview. And I think maybe they think because I've never seen it, it can't be done, or because I'm not doing it, it's not possible. And they have to overcompensate, I guess would be the best word.
Well, you show them what's working, and you've got the regions giving you awards to prove it, and you're doing great stuff. And we're going to talk about how you built it because you're in Columbia, but are you from there?
No, I'm actually originally from a little town in North Carolina by the name of Pembroke in Robeson County. I moved to Columbia, South Carolina in 2020, and I got licensed that fall. Sold my first house in February 2021, and then had my baby girl the next month. It was an insane year of transition.
So you built this really quickly in a place where you don't know anybody, and now you're doing well over 100 units a year and making over $1 million in commissions. And you just, I don't know, did you make a decision that getting it active on social media was going to be the way to do it? Well, how did that come about? Because that was the big driver, especially early on, for you to get in front of buyers and sellers.
Right. So, because I started in an area where I did not know anyone, and we were in the middle of a pandemic, and I was pregnant, I really didn't know any other way. I had no previous real estate experience. I had no formal training. We were not door knocking. Interest rates were 2 and 3%. Open houses weren't happening. COVID was super rampant. So what else was I going to do? I just figured the best way to do this is to get on Instagram and Facebook and build a brand. And even then I don't think that I knew I was building a brand. I was just kind of going with it, and I had a lot of free time because there was nothing else to do, and I spent every minute that I could just pouring into social media strategy.
I pulled up your Instagram, it's right here. And it's so good. Now you've changed kind of the purpose of it. When you started, you were looking to connect with buyers and sellers. Now you've built up a great database and you still do that. Now you like helping real estate agents too. But if anybody wants, it's Realtor Mom Coach on Instagram is where you go. And what I love about your stuff is it's pretty simple. It's videos of you, like, I don't know, typing on the computer, putting makeup on, playing with your kid with these captions. And
Yes.
it's so effective. And yet I think people struggle sometimes in what to do. So I want for us to review some what to do's.
Okay.
So if I'm not active on social, or I'm uncomfortable with it, but I know it's somewhere I want to be. What would the kind of the strategy be? Walk us through what you did initially and what others might be able to do too.
Yeah, so I think the very first thing you have to do is find who it is you want to talk to. A lot of times I will see agents post content that is just for anyone in their market, just hoping that somebody in their market will find them, see their videos or see their posts and follow them. And I think a lot of times agents get very nervous about putting themselves out there. They feel like it's cringy, or they don't like the way they look, or they don't like the way they talk, and they think about them more than anybody else actually thinks about them. I think you have to get over that fear, and you also have to realize that if you are just casting your net for anybody and it's not specific to one type of person or one type of consumer, that you're just going to not succeed as much as you would want to. So for me, I'm a military spouse. It was very important for me to talk to someone that could relate to me. So I created content for VA home buyers, people who were in my market that wanted to sell, who maybe were PCSing and moving because of the military away. So I really focused on that home buyer who was getting orders to come to Fort Jackson in Columbia, South Carolina, and how I could benefit them. And it took me a little while to figure that out. But if I had to start all over again and I still wanted to work with that same population of people, I would create content every single day that is specifically helpful to that person.
All
And
right.
go ahead.
Oh, keep going. No, please.
And then if you're nervous about, showing up, or you feel like it is too complicated or too difficult, the type of videos that I do often are called B-roll. And so I will literally prop my phone up on a tripod or on a cup that I have sitting across from me, and I'll just get video of, like you said, me typing on a computer or walking into a house, or hanging out with my daughter, and then the message goes on top of that. And you don't necessarily have to talk in your video if you don't feel comfortable doing that.
It's all sorts of stuff. In fact, you have some suggested, list of suggested B-roll to get that you're going to share with our Inspire members. So Inspire members, you can log in to the portal at jamesdshaw.com and go click on the recording of this session, and you'll have all of her B-roll suggestions so that you know what to kind of take video of. It's a really good one. If you're not an Inspire member, you can enroll at jamesdshaw.com as well. All right, so the first step is figure out your ideal audience. Don't talk to everybody. So you figured it out, military spouse. So I'm going to help other people in the military make sense in your market too to do that. That's step one. What's step two?
Step two is to create some sort of schedule to hold you accountable and consistent. I also think that you should definitely get rid of the mindset that it's going to happen fast or that it's easy. It's not. It takes a lot of strategy and a lot of time and consistency. And it could be that you post something and someone sees it and you get a quick deal. But if you want to create a reputation and a brand, that happens over time. So go ahead and rid yourself of the mindset that things are going to happen immediately, and get ready to use months of time of consistency to really build up a reputation for being known for the type of content that you're posting. So you're going to want to plan out your content in advance. Really think about, what does this person find valuable? What do they need? What would attract them to my page? What problem can I solve for them? What message do they need to hear? And write out ideas of ways you can talk to them. And remember that you can repeat that content too. You don't have to think of a new thing to post every single week.
All right, so schedule it, but also, and you said it there, I guess you got to figure out what's of interest to them. Like, what are the challenges or issues they're having that you can help solve? Is that part of it? Is sit down and make a list of, after you figured out your ideal audience, make a list of all the issues they might have or questions you might be able to answer?
Yeah, so one thing that I would do is, when I would have conversations with clients or potential clients and they had questions that they would ask me, I would make notes of what those questions were. And then I would create content that answered those questions. So if you've ever worked with buyers or sellers before that do fall in the category of who you really want to be doing business with, think about what their problems were and what you helped them accomplish, and then create content that caters to fixing those problems before they ever actually talk to you.
Yeah, listen to what your people are saying or asking. And then you can turn just about anything into some type of content. And it doesn't have to be genius. It can be pretty simple. Okay, so that's really good. So figure out the audience, who you're trying to reach, figure out what their challenges are and go answer them. Do that by, I don't know, listening to what they say. But you said too that you just Googled.
I
What did you Google to figure out some content in the beginning?
Yeah, so I was just thinking that I would actually Google what are common questions that VA home loan users ask. Or maybe I would look at websites that were giving information to VA home loan users or people who were going to PCS, and I would find information that I felt was valuable, and then I would turn it into a piece of content. I would also look in Facebook groups that were designed to help people move into our area, and I would see what questions people were asking, and then I would answer them online. But I vividly remember Googling top 10 questions home buyers have. And then I would just kind of twist it to make it work for my target audience. I had no idea what I was doing.
Yeah, well, you were building something, is what you were doing. You were building the foundation at that time. And that goes to the next part, which is it does take time. You said that. You want to be consistent and patient. So I want to talk consistency first and patience second. How often, is there a right rhythm to how often you're posting, and do you want to post it in your feed versus should it be a story or should it be a reel? Like, do you have a rhythm to that?
So I don't necessarily think there is a one right way. I think it really depends on you and your ability. If you say today, I'm going to commit to posting 7 times a week, and then you do that for 4 weeks and you get totally burnt out, and then you don't post for 3 weeks, that's worse than just posting 3 times a week consistently because that's manageable for you. So I would really dive deep into what is actually manageable for you, and I would do that. For me personally, like on my team's Instagram page, I like to post 3 times a week, and I feel totally comfortable with that. And at first, as I was trying to build up the brand, I did post way more, but I also was not in production. I had nothing else to do. We were in the middle of a pandemic. I just moved to the area. I didn't know anyone. So all of my time went into that, very much as if I was cold calling and I had to put in the work every single day. There are differences between your feed posts, which would be an Instagram reel, or maybe a graphic that you've created in Canva versus your stories. Your stories are fleeting. They only stay there for 24 hours, whereas your feed posts are permanent. So for me, stories were always background. Let me show you what I'm eating for breakfast today, or how I'm spending my time in my business, or this new restaurant that we just tried out. Let me highlight that for you. Just giving people a behind the scenes peek into who I am outside of just a real estate agent, because that's where you build community. People do business with people that they know, like, and trust. So my stories were meant for them to get to know me, and my feed was meant for me to educate them and help them.
All right, that's good. That's a great way to think about it. Is story is get to know me, feed is educate. Do people care what you're eating for breakfast?
You would be surprised when I post now, the things that I post that are personal and not business related get more traction
Yeah.
than anything else. And I think it's also about being transparent and authentic. I would post about how freaking hard it was to show houses and walk upstairs when I was 7 months pregnant. And people were like, oh my gosh, I don't know how you're doing that. They really related to that authenticity, and it still is the case today. People like to see that you're not a robot. You're not just a business, you're also a person.
I agree with that. I think when it comes to social for me, I've got that part down. I like letting people behind the curtain is what I call it. They want to get to know who you are. Where I struggle is the education side of it on Instagram, is how to take what we're doing inside of Pivot and put it on Instagram in a way that helps more people. But whenever I post a picture of Naomi, it's my 12-year-old daughter, whenever it goes nuts, like the one I posted recently of her photo shoot for dance, they love that. They love that. But so it's people do want this authentic relationship with you. I agree. But then you want to educate too. So I imagine in the 4 years you've been doing this, you've learned some things about what works and what doesn't. What do you know about your social media strategy now that you wish you knew when you started?
Oh my gosh. I think that what I know today that I wish I would have known then is that it doesn't have to be perfect. And it's all trial and error. Just because you post something and it doesn't perform the way you want it to doesn't mean it was a bad piece of content. Everything is about learning and experimenting and seeing what works, and also not getting caught up in the vanity. There are a lot of people that focus more on how many views did I get? Did I go viral? How many followers do I have? You could have 1 million views on a post and never make a dime from it. I would so much rather build a small community of people that know, like, and trust me and are actually hiring me than have millions of followers and millions of views from people who will never render services with me.
Of course, you got 50,000 followers too. You're doing great.
Yeah.
And people are paying attention to you. And so, but don't get caught up in the metrics.
Yeah.
Stay true to your values. Post stuff that you think is authentic to you and also valuable to the community you're trying to reach. Is there anything else?
Yeah, I remember, for example, James, I posted a video once and it went viral. And when I posted it, I gained about 8,000 followers or so just from that one video. And I wish if I could go back, I would have never posted it because it was terrible. The people who were following me had no idea who I was. They were from all the way across the world. They would never hire me. I never got any business from that. And then it messed up my engagement because I had all of these followers that had no interest in any of my subsequent posts. Anything else I posted from that point forward that was about my local real estate market or what I really wanted to educate people on, those people had no care about it whatsoever. And so I would really, really encourage people to focus more on the impact that you are making versus how widespread your information goes. And remember that, 100 people looking at your content is great, especially if those people are local. Imagine you stood on a stage full of 100 people in the audience and all of those people live in your market and could potentially buy and sell real estate with you. What a great opportunity. Real estate on Instagram is the same way.
Okay, that's good to know. Let's say someone is like, all right, I get it. I need to post more, but honestly, I don't even know where to begin. What should I do first? What advice would you give them?
Yeah, I would start small. And I would also remember that it doesn't have to be this well thought out, eloquent post. I think ChatGPT is such a good way to learn how to do this. Really dive deep into who it is you want to work with. And now that we have this big AI tool that we can use, I use it all the time. Just ask AI, ask ChatGPT for post ideas, but feed it who you are, what you like, what your personality is like, who it is you want to work with, and then say, can you help me come up with a few Instagram posts that would speak to my ideal client? This is who my ideal client is. And then use that as a basis of a way to think. If I am totally brain fogged and I can't even think of content, I will get into ChatGPT and say, based on what you know about me, what do you think I should be posting about today? And it will spitball out several options that then you can make really personal to you. I would use those resources and then tweak them and create it and make it your own.
It's really great. What didn't we talk about in your strategy that you want other people to know?
I also think it's really important to create a really, really notable brand and have consistency in that brand. One thing that I did was I used the color pink, and all my list signs are pink. My social media content on my team's page is all written in pink font. Our flyers are pink. Our website is pink. Everything is pink. And it stretches so far. I will sometimes have people who are in my market will see other people's signs and they're not ours and they use pink and they'll say, oh my gosh, I thought that you had a listing in my neighborhood because of this. Or they'll see things out shopping, like a pink couch or a pink shirt, and they'll DM it to us and say, we thought of you when we saw this. And so when you're creating that content, whether you are wearing your brand color, typing in your brand color, creating flyers or graphics that you're posting online in your brand color, I would really have one and I would stick with that because it's so important to have something that people can subconsciously remember you for, even when they're not scrolling on Instagram.
I so agree with that. All right, I'm blue, you're pink. It's like we're in Sleeping Beauty. Make it pink, make it blue, make it pink, make it blue. But I'm with you on that. Pick a color. Like if, for example, if we're doing a call inside of Pivot today, but if we were doing the call as part of Inspire, all that branding it just changed to blue. Like and why? Because that's my favorite color too. So it's figure out what's right for you. How can people find you and connect with you if they want to learn more? Because right now, your Instagram really is a feed to help moms who are selling real estate so that they can be a great mom and a great wife and have a great business and do all those things. So tell them where they can find you.
Yeah, you can find us at Realtor Mom Coach on Instagram. And then my team's Facebook page and website is taleyhunthomegroup.com or the Taley Hunt Home Group. If you look either one of those up, you will get a good picture of what our branding looks like and the type of content that we're putting out there for buyers and sellers. I get that question a lot. You know, my current Instagram that I run is really for moms in real estate. We do have social media content that is dedicated to buyers and sellers, and that's where you can find it.
It's really good. And that's one of the tips, I think, right? Is if you're unsure what to do, start following people who are doing this at a high level and look for trends and figure out what they're doing that might work for you. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. And I do get that question a lot is I've already talked about this online. Can I talk about it again? I can't come up with enough topics to talk about. The whole point of a brand is consistency. So you should be sharing the same message over and over and over again. And people who are already crushing it, watch them for inspiration and use it to your advantage.
Taley, you're great. Thank you for joining us today. I appreciate you. Congratulations on your success.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you.